Okay, so we've just had an amazing trip in Milan. Tell us a bit about the trip.
The journey was pretty uneventful here. We had to go through Zurich. The flight was delayed, and then delayed from Zurich to Milan. So we got into Milan probably two hours later than planned, and the whole journey was spent wondering what's happened, because there seems to have been a massive amount of state oppression to try and stop what's going on. They had venues cancelled, dinners cancelled, police harassment. So there was a lot of moving about on the Friday night, but we did get the opportunity. We went to a lovely Italian restaurant, met up with continental friends from Germany, from Norway, from France. And,
All over Europe,
yeah,
really, everywhere.
It was fantastic. And then I think the biggest upset was probably the Saturday, because the event was supposed to start in early afternoon, and they had to bring it forward early. So there were actually one or two people who didn't make it because of their travel plans. But we were all nice and early in Milan, and got to the venue. I think we were one of the first people to arrive. That was pretty cool. We came into the square, beautiful theatre in Milan.
Yeah.
In how do you say the area? Gravalat or something like that. I can't remember. It was, but we turned into this square, and there was literally hundreds of police and plainclothes police as well, and went into the venue, and the theatre was incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah. The Remigration Summit team really did an amazing job. They've managed to pull off an amazing event, a new venue at such short notice as well, just because of the amount of insane state oppression, mainly state oppression that came as a result of them just trying to do a remigration conference, which, easily 70% of the public agree with, easily.
Yeah, and it featured politicians from political parties across Europe, elected officials, coming there to discuss openly about remigration. Is that not the epitome of democracy, that we're willing to state our case for something we believe in passionately, and do it with elected politicians? But 8 Germans were denied exit in Germany, but they surprised them by turning up anyway.
And the state oppression didn't end with just them, the Italian state trying to ban the event, including the mayor of Milan, but in other states not allowing their citizens to leave their own country to attend this conference. So truly insane, and of course it's always selective. So they targeted not low-level activists, but activists in general. But when it comes to members of parliament attending, they didn't dare touch them.
No, they didn't.
So it's always very selective in who they choose to bully and to harass and intimidate.
Yeah, because targeting activists rather than politicians.
Because they know they can't.
Yeah.
In the exact same way that Ronald Camus was banned from entering the UK, but when politicians came to visit us, they weren't banned because the British state knew they wouldn't be able to get away with that.
Yeah, and it was really quite a fantastic development for me that there was such state oppression, because it brought out, I think, at least 4 Lega politicians from Italy, recorded video messages that were played at the conference that weren't planned, showing support for free speech and for remigration and allowing us a democratic voice. So it's actually backfired on both the Italian state and the German state, because it has created more solidarity with right-wing dissidents across Europe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the caliber of the speakers was another incredible thing. I think there were speakers from Germany. Lena Kutzer kicked things off, a fantastic politician who's spoke at the Homeland Party conferences. We had people from Vlaams Belang in Flanders, Chega in Portugal, from Holland, from Dutch Party, from France, from Poland. There were some American speakers as well. I think Cyan Quinn's presentation for me was one of the best. That spoke about the economic argument for remigration, and including studying the British case, and fantastically for us, she's going to work with our policy team as well, which is tremendous. And Jean-Yves from France as well, which was incredible. We got the opportunity to speak to Jared Taylor, went to dinner with him. There was just so many incredible people that we met from our parties, and even from countries that weren't on the stage. We spoke to Finns, Norwegians, Slovenians, making contact with all of them, and we all shared the same goal: standing up for our ethnic identity, for our culture, our heritage, and realising that we've got one goal, and that's remigration. And the unity was absolutely incredible from everybody on continental mainland and the Americans. We are all one voice, just incredible.
And we faced absolutely zero bother with any kind of leftist thugs or anything like that. And it's for me, it's kind of the funniest part of the event, because the mayor of Milan felt so intimidated by what we were trying to do and what the team behind the Remigration Summit were trying to do, that he tried to ban it. That didn't work. So then he called for a massive Antifa demonstration in the centre of Milan. This horribly backfired. Because
didn't they not get water cannons?
Because the irony of the mayor calling for an Antifa demonstration, and then his own minions end up fighting his own police force. The poor police force in Milan then had to deal with these unwashed thugs, spray them down with water cannons, which, like I posted on my Twitter, it's the first time they've had a wash in a good while, so it's some good at least.
Well, I did have a close shave with one of these unwashed folk.
Okay.
This honestly the scruffiest journalist I have ever met in my life. His suit was covered in dandruff, he was all dishevelled, and he had like an orange ring around his mouth, like he'd been, washing his face in a spaghetti bolognese.
Maybe.
And asking why we weren't ashamed because we were standing up for our own people. So I said to him, right, that was quite amusing. But there was media from all over Italy. I think I did an interview with the Times of London, and a couple of other papers, a paper from Sweden, and various other. There was dissident parties we did. I think it was such a busy event. I certainly didn't get all the do all the media pieces that I was hoping to do, because I was just constantly, every time there wasn't a speech on, we were interacting, we were networking, we were talking,
doing interviews.
Everybody really just wanted to hear more about the Homeland Party and what we're doing, and they're just so impressed that there's finally a party in Britain who's standing up for people. They've looked at the Anglosphere for so long, been disappointed, and they all want to give us a helping hand. And I think that was one of the biggest things. They all want alliances, inviting us to conferences and meetings. And I think it's going to be impossible to do it all, but we will try and get to as many of the ones that are worthwhile as possible. And with Martin being our international relations officer, I think your address book doubled in size.
Probably,
and
very busy.
There's massive opportunities, and it doesn't always have to be me or Alec or Ant who's going to these things. You're building up a team with the international relations office. Tom, for example, and yourself are going to Poland soon. There's a network, there's a nationalist wave sweeping Europe right now, and the Homeland Party is right at the heart of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I think anything else to say, Martin, before we wind up and get to our gate?
Fundamentally, this is a completely European struggle. It's European-wide, and it's fundamentally clear to everyone. It's remigration, not relocation. It's not going to solve anything by pushing back migrants from Germany to Poland. This is a European struggle, and these migrants need to go back home. It's fairly simple. They need to go home so we can keep ours.